lost about 20% last night. Welcome to Adventure Gear TV. I've got a little bit of a dilemma today. I'm going on a very long road trip, and normally on the roof of the minivan camper, I would have my 200-watt solar panel, but I removed that recently and I ordered a 400-watt panel because I wanted to double my capability, and it hasn't arrived yet. So for this trip, I'm going to be relying entirely on the Bluetti Charger 1, which is an alternator charger, and the Bluetti Elite 200 V2 to power my adventure. And to get started, I did want to show you how much power I currently have in that Elite 200 V2. And last night when I parked the minivan, I was close to 100%. I was essentially fully topped off. I think I was actually at about 98%. So let's see. Pretty easy math there. I lost about 20% last night between the Starlink running all night and of course this mini fridge running all night. And I do have all of my food for the trip in that mini fridge. Most of it is frozen food. I've tried to pick things that I think are healthier. They may not be as healthy as I think, but meals that I will cook either with my microwave, using my coffee maker, or my hot plate. All of that is my goal for this trip. I don't want to eat any fast food. I don't want to eat any food on the road, unless of course something is very enticing. And today's trip is about 7 hours. With me goofing around, it should take me about 8 hours. So that's plenty of time for that Bluetti Charger 1 at about 560 watts to top off or refill that power station after every one of my meals.
Turn left.
Even though I started at about 79% this morning, I think the best way to really get my day off right is to start with a cup of coffee. After about 10 minutes of driving, I'm already up to 83%. What I need is some water. So I was just about to sit down and have my cup of coffee, but I realized this tree is hanging by a thread. This thing is wild right here. So I'm afraid to even get close to that because that thing is definitely on its last leg. And just for perspective, this thing looks like it's maybe about 12 or 14 inches in diameter. Pretty thick tree. It does have another tree blocking it from falling onto the picnic table, but this is a picnic area. Pretty bad place to have a tree like this. It feels perfect out here in the shade, but there are gnats everywhere, so luckily none of them have landed in my coffee yet. But I'm only gonna hang out here for a minute because otherwise I'm gonna get ate up. Let me see if I can get this hot coffee on this already 71 degrees. It's going to be about 85 I think today, so already shaping up to be a hot day. Let me see if I can get this coffee down, get back on the road. And just to avoid getting eaten up by all these bugs, I'm going to drink my coffee, get back on the road, hopefully get some lunch, maybe in St. Louis. That'll be a nice place. And I almost forgot to mention that the Charger 1 brought the battery back up to about 83% before my cup of coffee. After my cup of coffee, I had 82%. So Not a huge penalty for a single cup of coffee with that massive power station. The real test is going to be how much power does lunch cost using my microwave.
The place is built by design. Its great plazas and thoroughfares laid out to mirror the celestial order of the sky.
So I'm actually a little bit ahead of schedule. It's about 10:45 in the morning right now, just on the outside of St. Louis, stopping at almost like Buc-ee's. There's another gas station here called Wally's. Every time that I've come through this area, I do stop at this Wally's. I like to go in there. The battery is at 99%, and this is something with the Charger 1 that has concerned me a little bit over the last 8 months or so that I've used it, and that is when it's charging with the Charger 1, it'll get to 99% and it will continue to accept power. Whereas if I'm just going with my solar panel, that 200 watt solar panel that I normally use, that will stop charging at 100%. I wonder if that's some kind of software glitch or if it's genuinely accepting that much power, because with lithium batteries, you definitely don't want to overcharge them. You want them to stop charging at a 100% state of charge. If they continue to charge, you could have thermal runaway. And so with that thing continuing to charge, now that it's 100%, I'm gonna go ahead and turn that setting off. I'm gonna turn off the Charger 1, and then I will resume charging probably later in the afternoon. All right, all topped off and ready to hit the road again. Again, early, so whatever they do.
Continue on I-55 north for 3/4 of a mile.
Piece is a circular stone disc like a hockey puck that's meant to be rolled on its head. So I've definitely got some splaining to do. Yesterday I got OBE, or overcome by events. I got to my destination. Luckily I handed off all of that stuff that I had in the minivan. And so now I just have to reorganize everything, get everything back together. In that time, the Bluetti Charger 1 topped off the power station to 100%. Throughout the night, just like yesterday, it was back down in the high 70s. I've driven a little bit over the last couple of hours, so it may or may not be fully topped off right now because I did have it turned off for a little bit of time. And just because there's a vehicle right there basically in front of me, I'm not gonna go to the other side, pull my thing out through that door. Don't judge me too hard, but I have for lunch on today's menu 2 of these low carb crustless chicken pot pie meals. I selected these because when I'm on the road, I try to avoid having high carb meals because I do a lot of sitting, and the carbs can actually make you sleepy and stuff like that when you're camping. Another way that I kind of shot myself in the foot this week is I wanted to go back to my basics, excuse me, with my camping trip. And so I didn't bring any of my fancy cameras. I'm just going off of my phone. My phone is my primary for this one. And because of that, when I need to do things on the app, for example, right now I've got to turn on the AC inverter on the Bluetti Charger, or excuse me, Elite 200 V2. I've got to go to that app, so I've got to stop recording, turn that thing on, then I can get my meal cooking. I'm on a road right now, so I'm not going to pull out my chairs and my picnic table. The main thing I want to do, got my microwave. I've got to reset. I've always got to make sure that everything in the microwave is good to go before I put any food in there. So now I'm ready to go. And another thing is I do have my mini fridge there, that Iceco, I think it's the 20 liter model, whatever that is. It's not on freezer mode, but this stuff is still doing pretty good. It's just a little bit defrosted. I'm gonna just pop that lid a little bit to let it breathe. Pop it in the microwave, hit the 3, and I'm good to go. And while that cooks, I did start about 82%. I just checked that while I had it on. So I'm back at 82%. Whatever penalty I get from the microwave, that's gonna be what it costs to make one of those meals. I'm a little bit more of a hearty eater, and so I did, of course, bring 2 of these. They're only 300 calories, so 600 calories total for that meal. Not too bad. And what I wanna do kind of at the end of this, obviously, is say, how much power did it cost out of that 2 kilowatt hour battery to make these 2 meals? It's probably more than enough food. I am, if you've been watching the channel, I gained some weight last year. I'm back to losing that weight. I'm happy with that progress. I'm actually down about 20 pounds since January, and so super glad to be back there. I'm hoping to get back to my fighting weight, or below 200, but that could take a few months. But I'm slowly progressing. Barge out there. I'm slowly progressing back to that goal. So my three primary things that I cook with in the minivan are the coffee maker, obviously for coffee. I've got this microwave, and then I've got that hot plate right there. Now, the Bluetti Elite 200 V2 can run one of these things at one time. I think it will brew and run the microwave. This is a 1,000-watt microwave, and this takes about 12 to 1,500 watts. That thing is rated at 2,400 watts, so we're just right there with that. With all this stuff, I do have to pick and choose. But this is perfect. This is perfect for my needs. I go camping. A lot of times I'll use the hot plate and I'll make something with the skillet, stuff like that. That's really for YouTube videos. In reality, I want to be able to have a quick meal because I like to get to places where I'm gonna camp. Minimal fuss, minimal cleaning. I'm gonna eat whatever I eat. I'm gonna throw my trash in that bag. And then of course at the end of my trip, I can throw all of my trash out. Now, 3 minutes on that semi-defrosted meal. I just want to pull it out and see. Woo, that is scalding hot. And so 3 minutes did the trick. Let me check the battery real quick and tell you what I lost from that 82 or 83% that I started at. Okay, so we definitely started at 82%. We're down to 79%. So just kind of like beer math on that is about 1% per minute to run that microwave. And now, if I wanted, I could call that meal complete because, oh no, okay. Oh, I thought I lost this meal. Because I'm gonna go ahead and eat this one. I'm actually gonna go ahead and cook this right now because when I'm completely done, I'm gonna turn the AC inverter off. That way I don't waste any unnecessary power with the AC inverter just draining the battery when I don't need it. The charger one is just right there. You can see that green light. That's letting it know that it has power. I've got my backpack with my gear for this trip, camping chair. I've got my drone. I've got some tools for some work I was doing earlier. Up in the sleeping department, I do have my sleeping bag, cheetah print, leopard cheetah print pillow, whatever. I've had that thing forever, love it. And a pillow over there. Now I do have a new set of sheets I did order on Amazon. These are some Amazon basics. It is too hot at night for the sleeping bag. I don't know if you can see that fan right there. That fan, I do test the air conditioners, but in true reality, if you're in the shade in a decent place, a little fan like that can go a long way, especially right now. I don't know if you can see, I'm glistening a little bit from sweat. With that glistening, the fan blowing on you, it's truly the perfect temperature. So it is wild hot here. Says just 90 degrees, but 90 degrees, direct sunlight, plenty hot. I probably should stay over there in the shade, but just so you guys know, this is my trash bag. I definitely try to keep everything together so that it will go together in the trash. Get that out of the way, no problem there. But, oh man. But I drank all my little bottles of water, so when I'm done here, I'm gonna get a cup of water out of my big jug. That's definitely a very interesting looking building right there. It looks like it might have been a lodge, like you would go there and have a meal or something like that. You can see there's some graffiti and the thing's torn up a little bit. There's also an overlook, and you can't see it here, but we're right next to a river. I can hear the barge going by, and if you can't tell, I'm about to melt in the sunlight, so let me stop flapping like, oh, and I almost forgot. 79% for the first meal, so about a little over 3% plus or minus. Keep in mind the Starlink and the fridge are running as well. And then a straight up 3%, so I'm down to 76% on the Bluetti. So 1 minute of microwave, 1% of battery. Very easy math to understand. One of the things I love to do is try all these different things. So like this, super easy. 3 minutes of prep. I'm in, I cook, I'm out. All my trash, easy to deal with. When I'm done, I throw everything away. I got nothing to clean up. There's a trash can right there. So when I'm done with this, I'm just gonna drop my bag in the trash can. be on my way. There's like a cloud going over also, and that cloud is definitely saving my life right now. Three minutes with the microwave was perfect for this meal, but if it was completely frozen, I think 4 minutes probably would have been perfect. So it's not scalding hot like it was, but after really about 24 hours of defrosting in the refrigerator at about 35 degrees Fahrenheit, 3 minutes for me was perfect. The balance is, if you let this stuff defrost, don't refreeze it. Just use it, or honestly, if you're not gonna use it, throw it away, don't refreeze it, because freezing and thawing things is where you can allow or introduce the growth of bacteria. Anyway, let me stop talking. Let me get my food done so I can get back on the road. So I know like one or two jokes, and one of them I heard when I was younger in another country, and the guy said, what's the difference? This is a place where they don't have stoplights, and so they have a lot of traffic police. He goes, what's the difference between a traffic cop and an ice cream cone? And I was like, I don't know, what's the difference? An ice cream cone melts in the sun. So definitely hot here. No raccoons. You guys want to see what's inside of this real quick? There's a broken wall, so let's go check that out. I think this was some kind of lodge. Nice little parking area, almost all abandoned. This is actually a very beautiful place. Oh yeah, absolutely. There was maybe some kind of a social environment here. Let's go walk around the edge. So this is my prize for that $3 I spent coming out here, which is I get to see something from like the heyday of American, outdoor recreation. I bet this thing was absolutely phenomenal, and now it's just nothing but broken glass, broken dreams, something like that. I do want to walk around to the bottom because it looks like there is a first floor. There are no signs. So another important thing to keep in mind, if there were signs that said like, hey, no trespassing, no access, no entry, I would of course respect those signs. But as far as I'm concerned, I'm really in a public venue. Go down here, and I'm not going to enter that structure at all because it is boarded up, which means whoever boarded it up doesn't want anybody inside of it. There was probably at some point picnic tables with awnings right here. You'd go in, you'd get yourself on it today, you'd get yourself an ice cream or an icy. You'd come out here, all of these little bushes probably would have been gone, and you would have got an absolutely beautiful view of the river. Only in death will life make sense. Something I think about, definitely not trying to go into the morbid, but what happens to us after we die? And that's actually a topic that I don't really get into on the channel here because everybody has their own theories. We all ascribe to certain beliefs, and I've never really had a desire to get into that debate on my channel. Politics, religion, any of that stuff. And this was probably the loading area. So you got a little dock right here. You got some doors. You got Reznor, so Trent Reznor, if you know who that is. Family made the cover for the thing there. Very glad that I paid that $3 to come out here and just get my eyes on this place. And I don't know if anybody knows what this is. If you think you know, I know what it is actually, but if you think you know, let me know in the comments. I'll let you know if you're right or not. If you've done any restaurant work, you probably know exactly what that is. There's a hole right here. Let's go look at the first floor, see what it looks like inside. So at some point these boards fell off, and ooh, this has that smell, that musty carpet smell. There's a carpet on the first floor here. The stairs, very interesting. Those stairs are carpeted. There's a fireplace right there. Probably, I would guess, a bathroom or something back there. And more windows on this side. And believe it or not, the state that I traveled in where I found the most abandoned things, for me personally, was California. Let's get back to the van, get something to drink. So before I pack up and head out of this area, I did get one question today I wanted to answer. This question was on another video that I made about the Bluetti Charger 1, and that was, does this wear out your alternator? And the truth is, anything you do to change anything will add additional wear and tear. So I've had this thing, I'd have to go back and check, but at least 6, if not 8 months in this vehicle without any issues. I don't run it 24/7. I do rely on the solar panel, but it does come in handy, especially like today where I don't have a solar panel on top. So that being said, I figure that maybe you'll reduce the overall life of your alternator by a certain percentage, 10, 20, I don't know. You never really can tell, and there's definitely some wear and tear. But if you could accept that possibility that there's gonna be wear and tear, this is definitely a great option for not having a solar panel if you don't want one, especially if you're driving. Now, if you're stationary, the Starlink burns a lot of power. If you're stationary, you're not driving an hour or so a day, maybe not as realistic to use this. But in my case, a lot of times when I'm out minivan camping, I'm driving an hour, if not more, 2, 3, 4 hours to get to my destination. That's plenty of time to pull power from the alternator, top off my batteries. So let me know if you guys have any questions. And then another thing I want to ask you is, there's a new community feature here on YouTube. You can start a post on my channel. Go check that out. If you have questions, that's a great place to start your question. And if you have answers, that's also a great place to go answer those questions. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. Subscribe, like, all that good stuff. But really, if you enjoyed the video, let me know, and I'll catch you in my next adventure.